Well, it is the weekend. When it's a weekend, it's got to be Michael Snyder. Hi, Michael. How you doing?
Well, I'm hanging in here with a bit of a head cold, Alex, but I'm okay. Hope you're doing well back east. I know it's a little on the chilly side, and we got the rain, but the movies keep coming.
Yeah. They never stop, do they?
They don't. We took a week off, so we're going to just do a quick update on a couple things I think you want to know about. One is The Imitation Game,
Yeah.
which is a sure shot for the upcoming awards season. It's a biographical film starring Benedict Cumberbatch, who is now going to be Doctor Strange in the Marvel Universe, from what I hear. But anyway, here he plays a strange character, and an important one, and one that we should think of in heroic terms, the controversial war hero Alan Turing. Now, this guy is the UK mathematician who cracked Germany's secret code, the Enigma code in World War II. Basically, he was the guy who led the crew at Bletchley Circle to actually do this and speed up the end of the war in the favor of the Allies. And then his private life comes out in the early 50s and basically ruins the man. He is also the guy in a lot of ways responsible for the modern computer. Anyway, the tragic turns his life took after this great triumph are in this thing, and in addition to Cumberbatch and all the trappings of a great thriller, the supporting cast is wonderful. Keira Knightley does some of her best work as the one woman on the Enigma code crew to crack the code. Alan Leach from Downton Abbey's in this thing as a member of the gang. Rory Kinnear, who you might know as Frankenstein's monster on Penny Dreadful, is the cop in the early 50s that tumbles onto Turing's secret life. And Charles Dance, who is a favorite, now departed from Game of Thrones. Oh, wait, spoiler alert. He plays the guy from the military in charge of the code-breaking effort, who is kind of a bastard. And it is fascinating with the fact-based story. It's also got great drama, and the tragedy is palpable. And ultimately, if you don't buy into Cumberbatch, you don't buy into the film, and he is wonderful. And Turing is so important. I believe they called computers Turing machines when they first came around and started to be used in more regular circumstances. And I guess nowadays, anytime you use your iPhone, you should say, "Thank you, Alan Turing." And then again, every time you're worried about the NSA spying on you, you should say, "Screw you, Alan Turing." But anyway, the movie, which is directed by a guy named Morton Tildum, wonderful. And I recommend it highly, particularly for history buffs. Horrible Bosses 2 is the sequel to the raw and funny workplace comedy, which I liked, which featured Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis as these hapless employees who decide they're going to get a little revenge on the people in charge of their lives, the people ruining their lives. And this, unfortunately, this second movie in a, I guess, supposed series is a fail, even though they brought back Jamie Foxx as their gangsta advisor and Kevin Spacey as one of the original Horrible Bosses. This doesn't really work. I also have to point out that it doesn't help matters when Jennifer Aniston is playing an oversexed, haughty dentist to just completely batter us with the most lowbrow and vulgar references. After a while, they lose their impact. Not funny. Supporting work from Chris Pine and Christoph Waltz as two wealthy guys, a son and a father that the boys try to take down to build their own new business, and just disappointing on so many levels. Wild, on the other hand, is more Oscar bait, like Cumberbatch for The Imitation Game. People are going to say, hey, about Reese Witherspoon's very brave and tenacious and riveting performance as a real-life first-time hiker named Cheryl Strayed. That's her actual name. And her life is so out of control, Cheryl Strayed, that she decides to do something crazy, hike the 1,000 miles plus of the Pacific Crest Trail, including like stark deserts and unforgiving mountainous woodlands. And she's going to do this essentially on her own. She's had personal problems in her relationships with drugs, with her mom, and she goes out there to just kind of get her head together. It's based on Strayed's memoir, which actually was a bestseller. And the journey is like dangerous and scary and inspiring and often very beautiful in its setting and in the bravery and kind of reckless magnificence of the human spirit. Laura Dern is fantastic as Strade's mom. The support is good. The setting is beautiful. Directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who directed Dallas Buyers Club and The Young Victoria, and written by Nick Hornby, the man who wrote the screenplay to An Education and the writer of the novels High Fidelity, Fever Pitch, and About a Boy. It's a first-class operation. Also good support from Gabby Hoffman and Thomas Sadowski in the cast. Still Alice is a heartbreaker. More potential Oscar nomination here for Julianne Moore as a professor of linguistics facing early onset Alzheimer's at 50, and her reaction to it, her studied intellectual response, and then the visceral response to what's going to basically take her life from her. And Kristen Stewart and Kate Bosworth play two of her kids, and very well, I might add. Kristen Stewart, all the jokes about Twilight notwithstanding, she's very good as the youngest sort of wayward daughter here. And Alec Baldwin plays the husband who just doesn't know what to do about what's plaguing his wife. Alzheimer's is something we've seen dealt with in a recent documentary, in the Glenn Campbell documentary. Here's a fictional drama based around the prospect of losing a loved one to Alzheimer's, and also how it affects the actual sufferer. And it's a quiet, deliberate pace here, but it's never dull. It's very tragic, and Moore is fantastic as the central figure. Still Alice. Pioneers inspired by real events. Tense conspiracy thriller set in the early 80s at the beginning of the Norwegian oil boom. And it's based, it may not be the greatest of its kind, but it still managed to interest me. So oil and gas deposits are discovered in the North Sea off Norway, and government and corporate interests, Norwegian and American, seek to lay a pipe there. And all this has to happen at a depth of 500 meters, so they have to send pro divers down in a pressurized diving bell to acclimate to the depths and make the project happen. But no one's gone that deep. And so teams of Norwegian and American divers prepare, go down, and a tragedy happens. And this is the aftermath of that. And it becomes kind of like who's responsible, what government, puppet masters and ministers have done this awful thing. Are there corporate interests responsible for it? The director is Eric Skolberg, who did the original Insomnia. So he's solid. You also get support from two American actors, Wes Bentley, most recently in Interstellar, Stephen Lang, who was like one of the villains in Avatar, and also you even get Jonathan LaPaglia, the Aussie brother of Anthony LaPaglia, and everybody does a good job. But we've kind of been here before in terms of uncovering conspiracies. This kind of movie, it's well done. It's a remarkably interesting backstory, and it's a setting we're not that familiar with here in the States. Some subtitles, but I still thought it was pretty good stuff. Antarctica, A Year on the Ice. A Year on Ice is a really beautiful documentary. Really blew me away. Basically, the situation is that a guy who works in Antarctica, a New Zealander who's there frequently, a guy named Anthony Powell, decides to bring cameras up there and chronicle a year in Antarctica through the harsh winter and the not so harsh summer, but still pretty challenging. And it looks gorgeous, and he interviews people about why they work there, what they do there. I thought it was a very cool thing and should be seen on the big screen. We'll wrap up with The Babadook, a very chilling brew of horror and psychological drama where the human victims are often as scary as the presumed monster, which is a boogeyman from a creepy, apparently indestructible children's book that you should never read to your kid before bedtime. This is the first full-length feature from writer-director Jennifer Kent, who is from the Antipodeans, and it bodes well for more good stuff from her. A woman's husband dies, taking her to the hospital to give birth, and she's really, brutalized by this, and she has to deal with an out-of-control kid. At 6 years old, Samuel, her son, just doesn't behave. He's got all these issues, and now he believes a monster out of the book is coming to kill them both. It's a very, very good horror film. And, again, a lot of psychological drama there.
Okay. That's it?
The Missing, which I totally endorse.
Okay. The Missing, which you totally endorse. Okay. Well, that's I guess, the sum total of everything this week, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Again, if you haven't seen The Missing, which is on Stars, I recommend you check it out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will see. I have enough on my plate already, but I will try to add that to it.
Well, it's a kid is kidnapped during a vacation to France. A British couple played by James Nesbitt from Jekyll and Frances O'Connor. It's really wonderful. You won't be disappointed. I don't think.
Yeah,
I think you'll
yeah.
be caught up.
I probably
That's
won't.
it.
But there's a lot of other good stuff too. So I'm kind of like watching too much stuff. So.
See if you can fit it in. Great. If not, I'm just going to
Yeah.
recommend that people dip into it if they can.
Okay. Well, that's it for this week, I guess. Tell them where they can find you, Michael.
I am Twitter at Culture Blaster, and you can check out the Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page on Facebook. Like it, listen to our clips with Alex and other stuff.
Thank you, Michael. We'll see you again next week.
You got it.